This is Pandora's Box meets Tallulah. How you doing, Tallulah? You all right?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for coming down today.
No problem.
How you doing?
I'm really good.
Yeah?
I'm excited to be here.
Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Yeah, we're going to do some exciting stuff with Tallulah in the future. Tallulah's going to do like a live recording, I think, with us.
Yeah.
Aren't you? And you're also going to come on a show we're going to put out, I think, in the evening. I haven't decided sort of like what day or what time yet, but Tallulah's going to do a show with us and you're going to play, I think, is it some of your own music?
Yes.
But you're also going to play like all your favorite like artists and songs and stuff on that. And we're just going to have a good chin wag about music and stuff. But today it would just be cool just to like, get to know you. And we'll just have fun with that.
Yeah.
So like I just thought, just to start off, just to give some background, where are you from?
I am from Glastonbury.
Yeah.
And when I was 12, I moved to Street. And when I was 16, I moved to Bridgwater. So I've been in Bridgwater for almost 10 years now.
Cool. So we're like growing up in Glastonbury and stuff. Like what are your like earliest memories of Glastonbury and your sort of your connection to that?
I wouldn't say that Glastonbury itself kind of influenced me musically because I was never in situations where I was never in places where I was around that like a kind of musical influence. But weirdly, my like earliest memory is kind of Michael Jackson is probably my like weird.
Really?
Yeah.
So like, where were you when you?
I can just remember having. I think it was Bad, the album we had, but the CD the CD never had like a cover or anything. But I just remember. I don't even think it had a case, but I remember playing that CD over and over and over again when I was about like 7, 8, 9.
So were you in Glastonbury still then, or were you?
Yeah, it was when I was in Glastonbury, and it also like I can remember hearing Prince as well, and I think that like 80s the synth poppy drum machine that was my like the first time I can remember thinking I love this. Like,
so was that like a particular moment like you have in your head? So like with like say like Bad by Michael Jackson, can you like remember that memory like physically putting the CD?
Yeah, I can remember like having like a DVD kind of a CD player in my bedroom.
This is before DVD.
And just listening to it over and over again like on my own in my bedroom. I'm not sure.
And it just had a really big impact on you.
Yeah, and we had like the Thriller video, like the making of I heard like my friend had this like video as well. It's the making of Thriller, and like
Classic
I remember
video.
watching
Classic
that.
video.
Yeah, all the time when I was a kid. So yeah, that was my like earliest influence.
That's so cool. I always like think that's such like I love asking like musicians that question, because I think like as music fans and music lovers, there are always like defining moments in your musical journey, aren't there? So like with like Prince, you said as well. So is that like a specific memory you have as well of like?
Yeah,
so
it was
like,
only 3 songs. I don't know who made the CD, but I think someone made like a kind of mixed CD for my parents, and it had Purple Rain on it and Raspberry Beret, Little Red Corvette, and just those songs like evoked so much imagery like in my brain. Like I just remember really getting excited about those songs and listening to them over and over again.
I think Prince was such a cool guy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince. That's cool. So like moving on, sort of like. So like with your musical journey, so when was the first time after that? So what are the artists that really, in like chronological order maybe, are like the artists that really resonated with you like growing up? Like just take us on that journey and like take your time with it, because I'm really interested to like hear.
Probably, it's around 18 that I started kind of, Stevie Nicks, I'm sure people are sick of hearing the name Stevie Nicks because I'd listen to her so much. I listen to her pretty much every day, and I have done since I was about 18. And she is really the first artist that stuck with me, like proper stuck with me and resonates with me. And no one else has really touched me in that way, like that she has, and inspired me so much. I feel like I learned everything from her.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you didn't get into her until you were like 18?
No.
So like in between, because obviously, what was it? Did you say you were like sort of between 6 and 8 when you remember really liking Michael Jackson and around the same sort of time you really like Prince?
Yeah.
So like between, because obviously there's like a 10-year gap between that. So like were you like listening to music in that time? So
I feel like I didn't really follow my heart with when I started secondary school.
Right.
I wanted to listen to music that other people were listening to, and I wanted to fit in.
Oh, okay.
So it was I was listening to metal. I was listening.
So you
to
felt
a
like
lot
you were being insincere.
Yeah. Now that I think, why was I listening to that? I only listened to that because I thought all the cool people in school listened to this, and I wanted to fit in with them.
So what were you listening to? So like, when you were in like late primary school or in secondary school, what were you listening to?
Stuff like Bring Me the Horizon,
right.
which is so not It has no influence on me whatsoever. But stuff like that, I can't really. Enter Shikari.
Oh yeah.
Enter Shikari were my favorite band for like probably between like 13, 16.
I remember quite liking Enter Shikari back in the day. I don't know.
Because they were different. They were very like a strange band, and no one else sounded.
I know what you mean.
Like
it's hard to like. Like how do you classify Enter Shikari?
They did. I love that. Like I love when each album that an artist does is completely different, and they did that. They were always evolving, and I think that's really like important for artists and bands that you see that like.
But you think that you only really liked them because the people around you were listening to them? So like, would you listen to that in your private time? Like if you would go home and you would listen to it and you would enjoy it? When I was younger,
yeah.
But you would enjoy it at the time, but in hindsight now,
I think
you think it wasn't following your heart.
Yeah, like I was always an 80s and I can remember like being about 11 when I first ever went on a laptop and went on YouTube, and I can remember like listening to like 80s songs, and there was this band called Modern Talking. Right. They're really cheesy.
I think I've heard of them.
They're really cheesy.
They're an 80s band.
Yeah.
And I want to listen to some now.
And I can just remember like those were like these songs were the first songs I was ever like looking up on YouTube, thinking, I really want to listen to this. And it was and that was when I was about 11 years old.
And that was like you were like on your own at home,
and really
you were going into that natural state of just like searching music and trying to find stuff that was resonating.
Yeah,
that's the best.
It was only once I went to secondary school that it completely changed, and how I dressed changed, and I think like. If I could go back, I would have listened to my heart, and I would have listened to the things that I really liked, that, without having kind of anyone else's influence, that it was just what I wanted to listen to. So did you say in
secondary school, that's when you started listening to things like that, and you started getting, so it was more like primary school that you were?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 25.
You're 25, yeah. So I'm just sort of quantify that in my head, because obviously we're a similar enough age. I'm 32, but probably a bit different in terms of like, so when you say bands like Bring Me the Horizon, I'm thinking like that came out when I just left school.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously you would have still been like just sort of tail end of primary school.
Yeah.
So like, I was just sort of like trying to figure that out in my head. Okay, so like once you started like secondary school, so you then started like going more on like your own path in terms of music and stuff.
It was more, once I left secondary school, that's when I started to kind of find the things that I really liked.
When you left secondary school, when you left secondary school. So when you were in secondary school, that's when you were still listening to things like Bring Me the Horizon and Enter Shikari and stuff. So did you find like a group of people that were into the same stuff as you, or was it more just like a private thing? Or
oh no, I had all my friends in school were listening to the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. So like when you left secondary school, so where did you go to secondary school?
Crispin. Do you know Crispin Street? Yeah.
No. Well, I think I probably drove past it. It sounds familiar, but I've never had to pay attention to it. Because I went to school in Bridgwater, so like I just sort of. I spent a lot of time in Street and Glastonbury like growing up, but as I said, I just never really would have to pay much attention to it. So would you say like overall you have like good memories of secondary school or bad? No?
No.
For like what reason?
I wasn't really liked in secondary school.
Were you not?
No, I didn't have many friends. I was very, I craved attention a lot. I was always the person that people just didn't want there, and like I didn't have a good time in secondary school. I wasn't good with people.
So you think that you were? Did you say you thought that you were sort of like craving attention?
Yeah, I was always doing stupid things to try and get attention, but it was like bad attention. Like it just kind of drove people away. It didn't.
Right. I think sometimes when you are in that mindset, I see with people, it's like it gets to the point where. You want any attention, good or bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just as long as it's attention. Yeah. In your head, it's almost like good attention.
Yeah.
But you just felt like maybe you were like self-sabotaging.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you left secondary school, and I guess like you started, going in your own path more with music and stuff, did you feel like that's when you started becoming more yourself in general?
Yeah.
So is it around that time that you moved to Bridgwater?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Once I was in Bridgwater, that's when I really started to become who probably at 19. I was in like a new relationship, and the person I was with was so encouraging to me and believed in me so much. And I feel like that's when I was born, kind of that's like beautiful. The artist that I am now. He influenced me so much.
That's so beautiful. That's so nice. No, and that's what a relationship should be.
Yeah.
Just like really like encouraging
yeah,
and loving.
He was like, you can do anything you want, you know? Like I started to do so much when I was with him. I started to believe in myself so much.
There's nothing more precious than that, you know. I think like somebody that really loves you for who you are and genuinely supports you and encourages you to be yourself and to do what you want to do. There's no substitute for that.
No.
That's like the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah.
I think you can see sometimes people get into like relationships and that, and for whatever reason, maybe it's like the other person's own sort of insecurities or traumas, but I think they end up almost like seeing their partner, even if they didn't realize it themselves, like they're not a conscious thought, but they almost like see him as like a possession or something. Yeah. And that's when like things like jealousy and control comes into it. And I think, you know, it's such a shame, you know, because like bare bones, like a relationship should just be like, should be about loving somebody for who they are and like encouraging them and that. So that's so cool. So you literally just moved to Bridgwater originally for a relationship, the relationship you were in before that. Yeah. And like, did anything sort of, so although obviously that was like a relationship that you're not in anymore and stuff like that. Have you got any sort of like good like musical memories from like that time? Like, were you ever involved in like the gig scene? Like, did you go to gigs or go and see artists or anything like that?
No,
not really.
No, I haven't been out a lot, and I wish that I had, but no. And I don't really know any other like local artists. I'm trying to kind of do that now. I think for a long time I was kind of shut away and working on just writing songs. I just wanted to write as much as I could before kind of going, like this year is more about, right, I've got the songs, I've got like a back catalogue, I've got so much work, and now I just want to go out and meet people and play for people.
Do you know, I can almost like sense that in you, even though I've only met you for the first time today, even just from like looking at your like Tallulah official page on Facebook and stuff. I can feel like there's almost like a volcano ready to erupt. Yeah. And that's how I almost like, I can like almost like sense that off you. Yeah. And that's really cool. And that's one of the reasons I was like really excited. Like me and Andrew were both really excited to get you in today because like, you know, we both think they were so good, like such good talent. And obviously, you know, we are going to play like a lot of your stuff like on the station and stuff. And, you know, we want to like jam with you ourselves and that because we've, you know, I really wouldn't be like surprised at all if like you ended up like making it like big, you know, like end up being like almost like a force for music in the UK, you know. Thank you. So that's like super cool. So so in terms of like not artists that you like knew yourself, but like did you go and like see bands and stuff? Like did you go to like music festivals or go and see bands like?
Not really, because very recently I've seen Patti Smith, which is like mega achievement because you think like more or less, well, most of the people I listen to are dead now. Or, do you know what I mean?
I have the same issue.
And so it's like, who'd you go and see? Like, no one's about anymore. Or they're all in America and they don't come over here.
Because they're like, you know, got really, pacemakers.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to like, see anyone that you genuinely really want to see.
That's one thing I really like. I really definitely share with you. Obviously, we were talking about how we both really like Townes Van Zandt. Like Townes Van Zandt died in like, I think it was like 97. Yeah. So I was like 7 years old at the time. I was 1. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, imagine like a little 1-year-old and a 7-year-old like in a time. So I mean, like, just had no idea like who he was. And it's like, it's such a shame to me in my head that like, it's like I genuinely almost like feel real sad about it, you know, that I would never get to see Townes Van Zandt live, you know, and you know, people like Johnny Cash and people like that as well. Or, you know, earlier on, I was talking to you a little bit about like Lynyrd Skynyrd and stuff. I know that Lynyrd Skynyrd technically are still about, but they're one of those bands that they're not, it's not the real incarnation of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Do you know what I mean? They're like, because there was like I don't know if you know, but there was like they had like a plane crash essentially like decades ago, and like several of the members died. And they sort of like kept going on after that, and they got like a new singer. But it was like, it's never really been the same since. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's all to this day, all their biggest hits are like, you know, from before that era. So, you know, it is just a shame, isn't it, when you have an artist like that, or like I'm a real big fan of Rush, and like they were like gigging until just a few years ago, but a couple of years ago, their drummer Neil Peart, he like died of brain cancer. Yeah. So like, as soon as that, I almost like took it for granted because it was like, I mean, I only got into Rush like loads about 5 years ago, but it was like, I was thinking like, oh, I'll see him at some point. Yeah. And then it was like, do you know what I mean? I wish now that I'd like taken the initiative because, you know, he was like quite a private guy apparently, and he like nobody even knew that he had brain cancer until after he died because he just wanted that privacy. Yeah. And I guess he just like didn't want to spend his like final like, you know, year or whatever with his family, not being like bombarded with fans, which I think, you know, you can understand. Yeah. You know, but I think, that's a proper shame, isn't it, when there's like artists, because you hear stories about seeing like certain artists live and how amazing it was, and it just makes you feel sad. Yeah. You can't listen to them, you know. Yeah. So, But, say when you were like in secondary school and stuff like that, or just like anything. So you just didn't really go to like gigs much in general or anything like that?
No.
So you can't think of like any festivals or gigs?
I did see Anticar. I've never been to a festival.
Have you not?
Never been to a festival.
No way.
I really want to. Just it's never happened. I've never had the money to do that, and like I don't know. I've never had anyone that's wanted to go to a festival with me, or it's just never come up.
Well, that seems like crazy to me.
I know.
So you've never just had like a friendship group or anything to like go to festivals with or anything like that?
No, I haven't really invested in friendships ever. Since like school, I haven't really had close friends.
Why do you think that is?
Not until the last year I've got a best friend. He's called Barry. And like
shout out Barry.
Shout out to Barry.
Yeah.
We've started doing things
Barry.
together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get up to stuff. And he came to see Patti Smith with me in October.
Oh, awesome. So he like shares like a lot of the same interests and likes as you and stuff.
Yeah.
And
even if he didn't, he'd be like, come on, you want to do this? Let's go.
Oh, that's so nice.
He's really like, he's up for anything.
Good friend. So does he like naturally share like the same interests as you and likes and things like that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've been living in Bridgwater now for like what? Like 9 years?
9 years, yeah.
9 years?
Yeah.
But you were saying like you'd quite like to move back to like Glastonbury.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So like you met your current partner when you were 19, and then you said that like, he was like really supportive of you and really helped you become the person you are today.
Yeah.
So like,
and he's an amazing writer. Like he's
really?
like the best writer I know.
Really?
Yeah, he is a singer and a songwriter, and he's like one of my biggest influences. He really drove me to start, because I always wanted to do music.
Yeah.
But because before we were together, he'd write songs that were about me. They were almost like little like love letters kind of thing.
That's so romantic.
Them. I know.
That's so romantic.
And I hear them and I go, I know that's about me. And I so want the feeling that gave me was so incredible. And I just so wanted for him to feel that way. So it really pushed me to go, right, okay, I'm going to pick up this guitar. I've got recording equipment. I'm going to do it. And I started writing like for him, because I wanted to make him feel as good as he made me feel.
Yeah. Has he like ever like gigged around, or has he got like music out there?
He used to when he was younger. He's got a website. It's called www.puppykiller.co.uk.
Right.
And all his music is on there.
And what sort of like stuff does he play?
He'd say folk punk.
Oh, okay.
And like he does all kinds of different stuff.
I like immediately something like Dropkick Murphys like comes to head. So is it a bit like that? Or
I don't
not
know.
Really?
I don't know who they are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, they're sort of like folk punk.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's how we describe it. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. No, we'll like definitely have to check some of that stuff out. Maybe we can like play some of his stuff.
Yes.
We'd be like happy to play some of his stuff on the radio as well.
Yeah, he's incredible.
So that'd be really cool. So, is there anything in the last sort of like 6 years, other than obviously him like supporting you and sort of like helping you blossom, that would you say has been like a defining moment in your own like musical evolution?
I'm not sure.
Would you just say you've slowly been sort of like developing, like bubbling away?
I mean, I've done like I've written 4 or 5 albums in like the last 5 years.
Wow. So you've got a lot of content then?
Yeah, I got
a lot
loads.
of material.
And now it's frustrating. I don't want to write anymore, because I'm so overwhelmed with how many I've got. And I so want to record them like in a studio that it's like...
I was going to say, like, it sounds like it'd be really good for you to focus on getting that out there for a little while. Because you've already got the content. I mean, let's face it, some massive bands haven't even got 5 albums. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not that uncommon for a band to have like 3 albums and then for whatever reason they call it quits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
and I've got so much more that I want to do. I'm like, yeah.
One thing that's like really cool about that though is like you are clearly such a natural songwriter.
Yeah.
You're just like a factory just churning it out, you know?
It's weird though, isn't it? Because I can remember the first time I ever tried to write a song, took me about 6 months. I'm not joking. It took me about 6 months, and I didn't even finish the song. And I can remember like crying and being like, "Oh, if it takes me 6 months to write a song, how am I ever going to write an album? It'd take like 10 years."
Yeah.
And you just once you do it, and I can remember my first boyfriend saying, "Once you do it, you just pick it up and you get quicker and quicker." And then sometimes you write like 2 or 3 songs in a month, and you think, "Where did they come from?"
Yeah.
And it does. You just.
Do you think that you were maybe
you?
just putting like too much pressure on yourself?
Yeah, maybe. Well, it's just when you haven't done something before, it's like it's just such a new world to you. You don't know where to start or what you're doing really. I never knew how to sing. You've got to work it all out, haven't you? Never had any lessons to play piano. Or...
I think with like any endeavor as well, I think that like sometimes you can stifle yourself so much by being like, right, now I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like when you consciously focus on doing something too much, for some reason your body just sort of shuts down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like even like, I think everybody that sort of like plays an instrument will know what I mean. Like if you're like trying to practice something and you're like consciously thinking and being really hard on yourself about like playing like a certain thing, then you will start messing up.
Yeah.
Things will start going apart.
Yeah.
But it's like if you let yourself just sort of like flow with it, then that's when the magic happens, isn't it?
It's like you can't force inspiration. And like there's times where you sit down, you go, I really want to write a song, and you just can't do it. And then you can be watching a film and there's a line in the film, you go, oh, that's great, and you write it down, and then you're off and you've got your song, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it just comes out of nowhere.
Taking inspirations from like different little things in your life.
Yeah.
And it's like you end up almost like being a product of like all your different inspirations, but with your own like little unique like twist on it as well.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So like after you sort of started getting into your own sort of music, like when you left school, so who would you say are like the artists like since? So if you had to say like 5 artists that your favorite 5 artists of all time. Let's start off with that. So who would you say are like your favorite 5 artists of all time?
Stevie Nicks is definitely my favorite by far.
Yeah.
And then I'd say Patti Smith.
Yeah.
Probably Connie Francis. Don't know if you'd know her. She's an old singer. From
so what
like
sort of stuff does
50s.
She sing?
Like she does some country, some rock and roll. They used to say she was like the female Elvis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And can you sort of hear that in the music?
Yeah, you'd recognise, like if you heard her voice, it's one of those voices that you'd recognise but maybe not know the name, but she's got a very familiar voice. And I really like Patsy Cline at the moment. I don't know if you know her.
That rings a bell. But.
Yeah, you might know a couple of her songs. And the Everly Brothers.
I
recently, like they influenced my like debut EP. It was very much like based on them. Like hearing songs by them and going, oh, I want to write a song like that. And yeah.
So like starting obviously like from the top, I know you've already spoken a little about like Stevie Nicks, but because I really love like going deep with this sort of stuff. Like, what is it do you think about Stevie Nicks that like resonates with you?
I think first of all, it's her voice is so distinct and like I don't know, she's just got such a good voice, and she gives me goosebumps.
You sound a lot like Stevie Nicks, and I mean that like as a compliment because I don't want it to sound like. I know that sometimes like you could take that like. You don't sound like you're trying to copy Stevie Nicks.
Yeah,
like, you're not at all like that. But you can hear Stevie Nicks in your voice.
Yeah, see, I don't think that I sound anything like her. Like when I sing, I think I'm more like similar to Connie Francis. Well, it's weird when I'm singing, I think I sound like that, and then I hear it recorded, and I think I don't sound anything like her.
Well, obviously, like before I like met you like today and stuff, and you obviously said that your favorite artist was Stevie Nicks. Like when I like listened to some of your stuff, I had no idea who your like favorite artist was. And that was like the first thing I thought.
Oh right, oh that's
that was like
cool.
The first thing I thought.
Yeah.
By the way, I thought your song you put out a song yesterday. Oh, what was it called?
If Only My Love.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is like amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That is an amazing song.
I love that song. It's one of the first songs I ever wrote.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah. I
That's
really
one of the first songs you ever wrote?
Yeah. It wasn't as long as it is. It was only like, I recently like extended it.
Yeah.
Put like a second half to it. But yeah, like it was one of like the first, like for the first album I wrote.
Yeah, I love like songs that are from the heart and like very emotive.
Yeah.
And you can really hear that in that. Very soulful. Go to it late at night, have a little cry to yourself. So like other than just sort of like her actual like voice, what else do you think about like, with Stevie Nicks?
She does really strange structures. I love her band. I like her solo band better than Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
It's just perfect. Like the way like her pianist plays, the way her drummer plays. Everyone in that band is just like, that's what I'd want my band to sound like. And it's the kind of music that just makes me feel so good, and it gives me goosebumps, and nothing else makes me feel the way her music makes me feel.
It's beautiful.
And I don't get bored of it. I can listen to it every day. I never get sick of those songs. Yeah, no one else is like that. I normally give it like a month or two, and I'm like, right, okay, I'm done with this. I move on. But for some reason, she's stuck for years.
It's very rare that you can like an artist that much.
Yeah, exactly. It's never happened to me before.
That's what I'm like with Townes Van Zandt.
Yeah.
Like just like such a poet.
Yeah.
So and like with like Patti Smith, like why do you think that she resonates with you so much?
I think it's a similar thing that Stevie has. There's that kind of like magical, it's very like pretty. There's like the feminine and masculine kind of thing they got going on. It's like very heavy, but it's also like very pretty as well. And I like that. I think that's like one of the main things that draws me to it.
Got to get that balance between masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
Who was the third one you said?
Connie Francis.
Yeah, so talk to me about her, because I haven't heard about her.
I don't know what it is about.
So what sort of stuff does she sing?
She does some country, some rock and roll.
Right.
very, you know, like Doris Day.
Yeah.
That kind of like 1940s, 50s kind of music.
And that was her like era, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just love her voice, and I don't know.
Has she got like a big back catalogue? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah? So a lot of stuff to like dip into.
Yeah.
I'll check out all these artists.
Yeah.
I'll check out all these artists. And was it the Everly Brothers you said as well?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're very recent. I think it's because I know that they influenced Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks quite a lot, and harmonies wise. And listening to them has really taught me how to sing harmonies. And yeah, that's what I
Gotta love a vocal harmony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta get in there, these vocal harmonies, man. Gotta get on those vocal harmonies. All right, so who would you say, like, are there any like artists? Because I know, for me personally, I just feel like my sort of like musical journey is like constantly evolving, and I feel like every single like artist I do get into in that way that has such a big impact on me, it almost like changes the whole way I think about music.
Yeah.
You know, so I said about someone like Townes Van Zandt, like I absolutely like love him, but I only got into him about like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I would go as far to say as that like changed my life. So like, are there any artists you can think of, maybe even just like in the last year or two, that you've like listened to that have like, would you say have like changed your life or the way you look at music or anything like that?
Dr. Hook. Do you know Dr. Hook? Very recent. This is
actually, did they have like a really big? They've had like some big hits like back in the day.
You're in love with a beautiful woman. Yeah, that song.
No, it's hard.
You can't not love that song, can you?
So we were like happy. You can just imagine like walking down the street to it.
It's so like, they're so cheesy, but that's another thing. Like I love, like they're such good songwriters. Like they write songs that like just stick in your mind and are easy to like pick up. Like I listened to their Pleasure and Pain album for the first time. I think it was in like November or December. I'd never listened to
Pain.
Yeah, I'd never listened to that album before. Yeah. And before like each song had ended, I was already singing along and harmonizing, even though I'd never heard these songs before. I was already able to like chip in and like sing with them. Yeah. And that's when I know that I'm really into an album. And each song I was just like, this is great. This is great. It just got better and better. And like
such a good name for an album as well, Pleasure and Pain.
Yeah.
I love it when you have like gems like that, like you just buy an album like willy-nilly because you like one song or something like what the hell, and then you like listen to the album through, and then the next thing you know, you properly love them.
Yeah.
It's such like a fun experience, isn't it? And then you've opened up this whole new realm for yourself.
Yeah, because I bought the album on vinyl, and I bought it for my partner, and then I thought, this might be a rubbish album. Like, what if they're one of those bands that only have a few good songs? So I was like, I better listen to the album. And yeah, it was like such a... it just made me so happy.
That's such a nice way. I love that. That's such a nice way of putting it. It made you so happy.
Just made me so happy. Couldn't have gone better. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by it.
That's so good. So like, gonna get deep now.
Okay.
So like, what would you like to be doing, and where would you like to be when you're 60 years old?
Oh, when I'm 60. Yeah. Well, hopefully I'll still be doing music no matter
Global
how old
superstar.
Yeah. But
embroiled in numerous scandals, just like Stevie Nicks back in the day. Stevie.
Do you know what? I've got this weird obsession with lampshades. I love old like Victorian lampshades, and I really want to make them. I'd love to have my own business making like these really beautiful like Victorian style lampshades. So cool. That's something I really want to start in the next like few years.
So like, have you like toyed with that at all yourself yet? Or?
Not yet. I've got some like frames. I'm waiting till I have a bit more money so I can buy some equipment and start kind of experimenting. But when I'm old, maybe that'd be the way to go, to kind of do something like that.
So that's like your main goal when you're 60. You'll be like, I will be like the lampshade woman.
The lampshade lady.
You just walk around with one on your head all the time, so people will know it's you. I'm lampshade Tallulah. I'm gonna say as well, like Tallulah. That's such like a nice and unique name. Like, and obviously that is like your real name.
Yeah.
So like your parents, like
Yeah, my mum was very good at naming us.
Yeah.
We've got some great names in our family.
So you've got like some siblings as well?
Yeah, I've got a sister called Posy.
That's a great name as well.
I know, so pretty, isn't it?
That's a great name. Pocket full of posies.
Yeah. Little sister called Tiggy.
Tiggy?
Yeah, brother called Ruben.
Yeah, that's a good name.
A brother called Xavier. And a sister called Sandy.
Bit of French, randomly. Well, it sounds a bit. I don't know if it is just Xavier.
Xavier.
Person who's a baguette.
Yeah, we've all got really interesting names. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so nice. So your mum named came up with all these
well.
names.
Yeah.
Your dad had no input.
I don't know. Oh, he did choose Posy. It was a combination of Polly and Rosie. And on the way to the hospital, he was like, it's got to be Posy. So
such nice names.
Yeah.
That is such a nice, unique name. And so along with your lampshades.
Yes.
Would you really like to take your music career like as far as it can go?
Yeah, definitely.
And watch out, world. Tallulah's coming for you.
It's scary though, isn't it? Because whenever I was younger, I always thought I'm gonna be this big singer one day. When I'm like, as far back as I can remember, seeing people on TV singing, I always thought that's what I'm gonna do when I'm a grown up.
Yeah.
And then you get older and older, and you think, oh, is this gonna happen? Or I don't know. And you start to get, well, for me, I've been like really almost like a quarter life crisis kind of thing, because it's like, is this gonna happen or is it not? And
I think that's the thing. Sometimes you just have to grab the bull by the horns, don't you? Because I know we were like talking a little bit before, and like everyone has it, like for different reasons, whether it's like self-doubt, nerves, like because you're a private person, but like it's very easy like not to do things. Yeah. But really it's like if you have a talent for something, you owe it to yourself to put it out there in the world. And also because like there will be people out there that will appreciate it and want to listen to it as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it would almost be like such a shame if you lived your whole life and like went and nobody ever even knew that you were into that. Yeah. And it's like I was saying,
I don't know if I could live with myself.
No. Well, imagine the regret you would have on like your deathbed, or whatever, But I know it's like we were talking before, weren't we? And I was saying like I always think about it like regardless of like what field it is, whether it's like, like art or music or like sport or whatever, like I'm sure like some of the best people in those different fields have like come and gone and no one's ever really known who they are. Yeah. Because for whatever reason, because they were just private and kept themselves. And we all know people that are great at something. Like I know some great musicians. But and I also know like some people that say I've like known for like 20 years, and like and then one day you'll hear them sing and they're like an amazing singer. You're like, why are you keeping that to yourself? And it's just they're just like, oh, I don't know, I'm just just don't really want to share it. But it seems like it seems such a shame, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. All right, so this is like my morbid question of the day, right? What 2 or 3 songs would you want played at your funeral? And I think this is like a really interesting one because I love thinking about it myself. Yeah, I used to think about it a lot. It's like common thought. Yeah. Something that would make everyone cry. That's what I was like torn between, because I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, what would I choose? I have no idea. And I thought, do you know the song that's Song to the Siren? By Tim Buckley. Such a beautiful song, isn't it? Oh, I love that song. And it's like so beautiful, so like sad, like it's just so lovely. I'm like, I'd have to have something like that, a sad one, but also I don't want everyone to just cry. And I think I'd probably want like Edge of 17 because it's such like it's about death, but it's such like an upbeat song. Edge of 17. So is that the name of the song? Yeah. So who's that by? Stevie Nicks. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's quite a famous song, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry, I'm with you now. And so Siren Song by Tim Buckley. Yeah. Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks. Yeah. And I'd probably have to have something that I'd written, just because, well, I don't know, my own funeral. Probably have to be. That would be like your farewell. Like for people to hear my voice. I don't know. Yeah, man. Maybe that would be more giving yourself your own eulogy. Could write a song about yourself before you die. Give myself a good send off. Yeah. Yeah. Say goodbye to everyone. Really make them cry. Yeah. No, I said like one thing that was really cool to me that like instantly got me excited was when I saw that you like Townes Van Zandt. Yeah. So have you listened to much of like Townes Van Zandt? Well, my partner, he was a big Townes Van Zandt fan. And he had this album. It's a live album, live at the old... live at the Old Quarter. Yeah. And it's that's the best album. So I don't know the name of like the song. But you know But I know, I understand. Like, there's lots of albums. Used to play that, Yeah, I'm like that. There's like, I've got like random albums that I can remember like being in my room when I was in primary school. This is so random. But like playing like Tomb Raider 2. On like a PlayStation, but I would like listen through old vinyls that my parents had, like Queen 2 and stuff. Yeah. And I know the albums, and I would know how to sing the songs, but I don't know the names of the songs. Yeah, it's like Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. I love the album. I know it's one of the best albums out there, but I couldn't tell you the names of the songs on the album. But I have a few like that. That's such. So Live at the Old Quarter, that's like the main Townes album you've heard. Yeah. I think Townes is one of those artists that he always sounds better live. Yeah. It's like really interesting because it's like if you listen to like his albums that have been like produced in the studio, like every album sounds quite different. And you can tell he's like, I know that like one of the last albums he recorded, he randomly did it in Ireland. And some of the like studio musicians he like had in were like Irish folk musicians.
Yeah.
So there's randomly like a lot of traditional folk instruments on it and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And it's very sort of got like a different feel. Suddenly it has got almost more of like a British folk feel, rather than that almost like very American country folk feel, which is obviously it's a very different sound. It makes you think more of like cowboys and stuff, you know, like that, you know.
Oh, sweet.
But no, that is a great album. Live at the Old Court. And as I said, he is one of those artists that does sound best live.
Yeah.
But that'd be really cool. You know, I'd love to like jam some towns with you or something like that. And because there are some nice town songs with some female vocals on.
Yeah.
And there's been like for a couple of years now, I've been thinking like, who could I get? Like, you know, who could I get? You know,
give me a shout.
You know, so like even if we just did it for a laugh, you know what I mean? We wouldn't necessarily have to
that.
record it. I mean, we could do, you know, but it'd just be like real fun to like have a jam with you and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward. I know that Drew is as well. Like looking forward to getting you like recording some live stuff in our other studio that we've just had set up. That'd be really fun. You know, a bit more relaxed. And also get you on the radio show. We can play a load of your songs from the artists that you've been talking about today. Yeah. We can talk about more of them in depth and sort of maybe try and like dissect them musically a little bit as well and see what me and Drew can like pick out from them as well. You know, it'd be really fun.
Yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts were on them. Yeah, that'd
be awesome to talk about it. And so like just before we like leave it for the day, is there like anything like you want to like add or anything that you want to say or?
I don't think so. I think we've covered done well. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Tallulah.
Thank you so much.
This has been Pandora's Box meets Tallulah. So thanks very much again.
Thank you.